I remember when I had just become a parent and I was headed to a meeting that was about 2 hours away. And I was on one of those back roads where the only thing between you and the car that's coming straight at you at 65 miles an hour is this little yellow double line. And I was looking at the tractor trailer that was coming right my way. And I thought, hey, if it were to swerve over just a couple of feet, it would be totally out of my control. I would have very little time to react, and there's a good chance I could end up dead. And in a situation like that, I wanted to make sure that my family was provided for. I understand this is not a fun subject to talk about, it's not a fun subject to think about, and it's even less fun to actually implement and set up. But it is extremely important because by the time you need this or your family needs this, it's too late. So please, if you don't have any of these things in place, make it a priority to set it up, to talk to your spouse, to get a lawyer, to get an insurance agent, and get these things set up. The first thing that you need to make sure you have in place is term life insurance. So what is term life insurance? Well, life insurance pays out in the event of your death, but the term part is it's a fixed rate for a set amount of time. So typically it would be something like 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. So how do you set the term? How do you decide how long you want to be covered by this insurance? Well, you look at how long you anticipate having dependents. How long do you plan on having children that live under your roof that you're caring for, or a disabled adult, or someone who is dependent on your income, right? So if you have an infant, you are probably expecting to take care of them for at least 18 years, so you would probably want about 20-year term. If you have a 10-year-old and you plan for them to be taken care of for about 18 years, then you need to get about a 10-year term, right? So that's how you decide the term. How do you decide how much insurance you need is typically based on your income. It's usually recommended that you get 10 to 12 times your income. Now, I recommend getting to the higher side of that income because as your income hopefully goes up over time, then you don't have to keep renewing your policy, getting a new policy, adding on supplemental policies. It's just kind of set for a little bit. So that's why I recommend going to the higher side. So the first thing, term life insurance. The second thing you should have in place is long-term disability insurance. Long-term disability insurance kicks in after you've been disabled for a certain amount of time, usually several months to a year, and then you will be able to get benefits if you've been disabled. Now, I don't recommend getting short-term disability insurance because I advise people to have a 6-month to 12-month emergency fund, and that emergency fund would act as short-term disability insurance. So only if you're disabled or out of work for a longer period of time should you really need insurance. So it's also based on your income, like life insurance is, but unlike life insurance, you can only get a certain amount. So they typically will only approve you for a fraction of your income, and you typically have to provide proof of your income. So if your income has gone up substantially, then it's worth getting your policy updated so that you can maximize your long-term disability insurance payout in the event that you would be disabled. The third thing you need to have in place is a will. If you don't have a will in place and something were to happen to you and your spouse, then the state decides what happens with your money and with your children. And so it is extremely important that we have a will in place because I don't think any of us want the government deciding what happens with our family or with our money. So it takes a couple of hours, it takes some thought. That's not the funnest things to think about, but it is extremely worth it to have in place. Find a lawyer who has experience in this area and they'll walk you through all the questions that you need to ask and think through and answer in order to have a solid will in place. And the last thing I recommend having set up in case something were to happen is a college savings account. Now, this is less urgent than the other three. Now, if you don't have the other three in place, you need to really get those in place yesterday. But for this last one, I still think it's important because if something were to happen to you, you know that your children's education is taken care of. And I do recommend setting it up sooner than later because once you have it set up, in the event that you get a bonus at work or you have a little extra money or you get a gift, you already have the account set up and you can throw some money in it. If you don't have it set up, you're gonna have that mental barrier of, I don't have that set up, I can't put money in that, and it'll just kind of keep you from investing in it over time. So as soon as you can, I would recommend setting up savings accounts, 529 or ESAs for your children so that you can start investing in their future that way. And if something were to happen to you, there's at least some money stowed away that's specifically dedicated to that. Hopefully that's helpful. If there's anything that I missed that you think is important to have in place as a parent, please put it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.